All right, so today we're diving into something that, you might not think about every day,
Right?
but it's actually way more common than people realize.
Yeah.
Tooth replacement.
Hmm.
And we're not just going to list off the options.
Right.
Here's the 5 things you can do.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're really going deep today.
Okay.
You've given us some really great sources, and we're going to unpack the pros, the cons,
Oh,
all those little details that maybe you wouldn't even think to ask about
I love it.
each of these choices.
Yeah.
So imagine for a second
Okay.
that you are the one who's like, oh no,
Hmm.
I need to replace a tooth.
All right.
What are the things that are going to matter most to you? Is
Okay.
it how long is this thing going to last? Is it the cost? Is
Yeah.
it how it looks, how it feels?
Right.
Let's figure out what might be the best fit for your situation.
You know what's interesting is a lot of the sources actually talk about how tooth replacement is about way more than just aesthetics.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it can really impact like your jaw health, your bite, even like the structure of your face.
Whoa. Okay, hold on. I've never really thought about it that way.
Yeah, yeah.
So like bone health, that's not something that usually comes to my mind when we're talking about teeth.
Right. It's easy to overlook, but when you lose a tooth, it can actually start this chain reaction of bone loss in your jaw.
Really?
Yeah, it's like your bone needs that stimulation from the tooth root to stay healthy.
So it's not just about filling a gap. It's
Yeah.
like you said, preserving the foundation of your mouth.
Exactly. That's a great way to put it.
Wow.
And that brings us to our first auction,
Okay.
dental implants.
Okay, these always sound like the most high-tech solution.
Yeah.
We talking like tiny titanium screws in the jaw here.
Pretty much implants are surgically implanted into your jawbone, and get this, they actually fuse with the bone over time.
Whoa, okay.
Yeah, and then an artificial tooth called a crown is attached on top.
So it's like your jaw actually adopts the implant as part of its structure.
Exactly.
Wow, that is wild. Okay, but I know that there's a failure rate, right?
Wow.
Anytime we're talking about surgery, that always makes me a little nervous.
Sure, there's a small risk, somewhere around 5 to 10%,
Okay.
that an implant won't successfully fuse, but overall they have a very high success rate, especially if you're in good health and you have enough bone density.
So not a guarantee,
Right.
but pretty darn close.
Yeah.
Okay, and I know there are different types of implants too.
Yeah, the most common one you'll encounter is an industrial implant, which is that screw-shaped one we were talking about.
Okay.
It's placed directly into the jawbone. The other types are less common and used in very specific situations.
Got it.
So for most people, it's going to be that industrial implant.
Okay, so let's say you're a good candidate.
Hmm.
What are the big selling points for implants?
Well, they're considered the closest you can get to having your natural tooth back.
Okay.
You bite and chew just like you normally would, and they're super durable. So think about it. You're worried about damaging a replacement tooth. Maybe you play sports or you like to chomp on hard foods. Implants are designed to handle all that wear and tear.
It's not just about how it looks, it's how it functions in your everyday life.
Exactly.
But I'm guessing this level of technology doesn't come cheap.
Yeah, definitely an investment. A single implant can cost a few $1,000s. And if you need multiple teeth replaced, you're looking at a price per arch, which can be
Or arch, okay.
pretty substantial. Yeah, we're talking tens of thousands of dollars potentially.
Okay, so it's not just the cost of one tooth, it's potentially replacing a whole section of your mouth.
Right, and that brings us to our next option, which is often seen as a more budget-friendly alternative dental bridges.
Okay, so if implants are the high-tech tooth replacement,
Mm-hmm.
are bridges more like the classic reliable option?
You could say that, think of a bridge, literally bridging a gap.
Okay.
It uses artificial teeth to fill the space, and those artificial teeth are anchored to your natural teeth on either side.
So you're relying on your existing teeth to hold everything in place.
Exactly.
Does that mean those teeth, the ones next to the gap, need to be pretty strong?
That's one of the things your dentist will assess.
Okay.
Now, there are different types of bridges, but let's focus on the two you're most likely to encounter.
Okay.
The traditional bridge, that's the most common one, and that involves placing crowns on the adjacent teeth
Okay.
to support the artificial tooth in the middle, which is called a pontic.
Okay.
So if you're missing a molar, for example, that pontic becomes your new molar, held in place by the crowns on either side.
Okay, so that makes sense for strength and stability.
Right.
But I'm guessing it's also more invasive because you're prepping those healthy teeth for crowns.
Mm-hmm.
What's the other type?
The other type is called a Maryland bridge, and it's less invasive because it doesn't require full crowns
Okay.
on those supporting teeth. Instead, it uses a metal or porcelain framework.
Okay.
That's bonded to the backs of the adjacent teeth.
So less prep work,
Right.
but maybe not as rock solid as that traditional bridge.
Exactly. The trade-off is that Maryland bridges might be a bit weaker, more prone to damage, especially if you're a grinder, or put a lot of stress on your teeth.
I see. So it's like a balancing act. Okay. And how does the cost compare to those high-tech implants we were talking about?
Bridges are generally more affordable, depending on the type and materials you're looking at. range from around $1,500 to $15,000
$15,000 for a bridge.
if it's supported by implants.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's a pretty wide
it
range.
is. Yeah,
So it seems like the costs can vary depending on the complexity and whether you're adding in those implants.
right.
But even at the higher end is still potentially less expensive than multiple implants.
Right. And bridges offer a good balance of functionality and aesthetics. They're not as permanent as implants, but they can last for many years with proper care.
Now, speaking of options that have been around for a while,
Mm-hmm.
let's talk about dentures.
Okay.
I think we all have a certain image in mind when we hear that word,
Right.
but I'm guessing things have evolved quite a bit.
Dentures have definitely come a long way. Modern dentures are more comfortable, natural-looking, and functional than their predecessors.
Okay, so full disclosure, I always thought dentures were for people missing all their teeth,
Uh-huh.
but our sources mention partial dentures too.
Right. Complete dentures are for when all teeth are missing, either on the upper or lower arch or both. But partial dentures are a great option if you're only missing a few teeth here and there, and they fill in the gaps while leaving your existing teeth intact.
So like a puzzle piece for your smile.
Exactly.
Okay, I'm curious about complete dentures, though.
Yep.
Our source mentioned something about immediate versus conventional.
Right.
What's the difference there?
The timing is key. Immediate dentures are placed immediately after your teeth are extracted, so you don't have to go without teeth during the healing process.
Oh, okay.
Conventional dentures, on the other hand, are made after your gums have healed, which usually takes a few months.
So if you need a solution, fast immediate dentures are the way to go, but they might not be the perfect fit long term.
Exactly. They're more like a temporary solution while you wait for your gums to heal, and then you get fitted for the more permanent conventional dentures.
Got it. All right. That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Now I have to ask about some of the downsides I've heard about dentures.
Okay.
Like, do they really make clicking noises when you talk?
Well, because dentures rest on your gums and aren't anchored to your jaw like implants or bridges, there's a chance of some movement.
Okay.
That's where the clicking can come from.
Oh, I see.
Or even slight slippage while you're eating, and because they're resting on your gums, is also a possibility, especially if they don't fit perfectly.
Okay, so fit seems to be a crucial factor with dentures, but I'm guessing one of the biggest pros is the cost.
Absolutely. Dentures are generally the most affordable tooth replacement option. You can get a full set of dentures, upper or lower, for significantly less than implants or even some bridges.
So if budget is a major concern, dentures offer a way to restore your smile without breaking the bank?
Exactly. But as we've discussed, every option has its trade-offs. It's all about finding the best balance for your individual needs and priorities.
Okay, on to another option that piqued my interest, fixed dentures.
Okay.
Are these like a hybrid between implants and dentures?
You get it. Fixed dentures, sometimes called implant-supported dentures, combine the stability of implants with the affordability of dentures. They're essentially dentures that are permanently attached to implants in your jawbone.
So you're getting that secure, anchored feeling of implants,
Right.
but potentially at a lower cost than getting individual implants for every missing tooth.
That's the idea, and because they're fixed in place, you get rid of those potential denture issues like the slipping or clicking.
That makes sense, but the sources mentioned cleaning as a potential drawback.
Right, fixed dentures can be a bit trickier to clean because they're permanently attached. You need to be diligent about getting in there and cleaning around the implants and under the denture.
Okay, so something to consider if you're someone who prefers like a super low maintenance option.
Definitely, and while fixed dentures might seem like the best of both worlds, they're not a miracle solution. The cost is still going to be on the higher end because you're involving implants and a more complex procedure.
So it's a trade-off, again, more stability, a natural feel,
Yeah.
but potentially a higher price tag and more cleaning effort.
Right now, before we move on, there's one more option worth mentioning, especially if you're facing tooth extraction, interim partial dentures.
Okay, these sound temporary. Are they mainly for aesthetics or do they have a functional purpose too?
They're primarily designed to be temporary, but they do serve a practical purpose as well. They help stabilize your bite, preventing your remaining teeth from shifting
Oh, okay.
while you heal or wait for a more permanent replacement.
And what's this I read about getting them before an extraction?
Yeah,
Why would you do that?
it's actually a clever strategy. Getting them made beforehand means you can put them in immediately after your tooth is extracted, so it helps with the transition.
Ah, so it's like a seamless handoff, no awkward gap
Exactly.
while you're waiting for your gums to heal?
Exactly. And the big draw with these is the cost.
Okay.
Interim partials are the most affordable option, often costing just a few $100s.
Wow, so they're like the budget-friendly bridge to a more permanent solution.
That's a great way to put it, but it's important to remember they're less durable than other options.
Right.
They're designed for short-term use, not as a long-term fix.
Got it. So we've covered a lot of ground here.
We have,
From those high-tech implants to the surprisingly affordable temporary options.
right?
It's clear that there are tons of factors to consider when it comes to replacing a missing tooth.
And that's precisely why this deep dive is so valuable. It arms you with the knowledge to have a more informed conversation with your dentist.
Okay, so we're not just giving a rundown of options.
Right.
We're giving you the tools to make the best choice for your own situation.
Exactly, because there's no one-size-fits-all answer.
Right.
It's about understanding your individual needs, your lifestyle, your budget, and finding the solution that fits you best.
So as we move on, keep those factors in mind.
Yes.
Think about what matters most here.
Uh-huh.
Do you prioritize durability, cost, aesthetics? Keep those thoughts in your back pocket as we continue to explore the nuances of each option.
I'm curious to hear what resonates with you the most so far.
Me too. We've only just scratched the surface, and there's a lot more to unpack,
Yeah.
but I'm already getting a sense of the complexity
Yeah,
and how personal this decision really is.
absolutely.
So buckle up.
Yeah.
We're just getting started.
We're going deep.
We're going deep.
I love it. It really is personal, and it goes beyond just like the clinical aspects.
Right.
We got to think about your lifestyle, your habits, even your comfort level with like different procedures.
Right.
All these things play a role.
Okay, so let's play a little game here.
Okay.
Let's say I'm someone who's really active,
Okay.
play sports, maybe I grind my teeth at night.
Mhm.
What kind of tooth replacement would you steer me towards based on what we've learned so far?
Well, durability would be a top priority there.
Okay.
And from what we've read, dental implants are considered like the most robust option.
Okay.
They're designed to withstand a lot of force and wear and tear.
So even if I'm like out there on the basketball court or clenching my jaw in my sleep,
Mm-hmm.
implants can handle it.
They're designed to, yes, of course, no tooth replacement is indestructible.
Right.
And proper care is always essential.
Of course.
But implants are definitely going to last.
Okay, that's reassuring to know. But what if, hypothetically, I'm on a tighter budget?
Mm-hmm.
Are there options that won't break the bank?
If cost is a major factor, dentures are definitely the most budget-friendly option.
Okay.
And remember, dentures have come a long way.
Okay, hold on. I'm going to play devil's advocate here.
Okay.
You keep saying that dentures have evolved.
Yeah.
What does that actually mean?
Right.
What's so different about modern dentures?
You're right to question that it's easy to dismiss them based on old stereotypes. But materials have improved significantly. They're lighter, more natural looking, and fit better than they used to.
Okay.
Plus, techniques for like making impressions and customizing the fit have advanced a lot.
So it's not just about the dentures themselves. It's about the entire process.
Exactly. And that attention to detail
Mm-hmm.
can make a huge difference in comfort and functionality.
Okay.
Plus, remember, you have options like partial dentures if you're only missing a few teeth.
Right.
So you're not necessarily dealing with a full set.
That makes sense. So there's really a denture solution for just about everyone, no matter your budget or how many teeth you're missing. But what about that natural feel? I'm
Yeah.
guessing implants still win out in that department.
It's true that implants offer a sensation most similar to natural teeth because they're integrated into the jawbone. You get that same feeling of biting and chewing with your own teeth, and there's no movement or slippage.
But for some people, the idea of surgery is a deal breaker.
Absolutely. And that's why it's so important to have an open conversation with your dentist.
Right.
They can assess your overall health bone density and any other factors that might influence whether implants are the right choice.
So let's say surgery is off the table,
Okay?
but I still want something that feels secure and natural. What would you suggest?
In that case, fixed dentures might be worth exploring.
Okay.
Remember, these are dentures that are anchored to implants, so they offer stability and a more natural feel without the need for a traditional bridge.
So you're essentially getting that implant-like stability,
Right.
but potentially at a lower cost than getting multiple individual implants.
Potentially, yes. But it's important to remember that fixed dentures still require implants,
Right.
so the cost will be higher than traditional dentures.
Okay, so maybe not as budget-friendly as traditional dentures, but a good middle ground if you're prioritizing that stability and natural feel.
Exactly.
Now, what about those interim partial dentures?
Yeah.
Are those truly just temporary, or are there cases where they might be a viable long-term option?
They're designed to be temporary, but there are certain situations where they might be suitable for a longer period. For instance, if someone is waiting for their gums to heal before getting implants, or if they're not a candidate for surgery for medical reasons.
So it's not always a straight line from missing tooth to permanent solution.
Exactly. And remember, even though interim partial dentures are temporary,
Right.
they still offer benefits like stabilizing your bite and preventing your remaining teeth from shifting.
So they're not just about aesthetics. They're actually playing a role in maintaining the health of your mouth.
Exactly.
Okay, that makes sense. We've talked about different types,
Mhm.
pros, cons, costs, but what are some things people don't often think about when making this decision?
Ooh, that's a great question.
Things that aren't always obvious from a quick internet search.
And it highlights why in-depth research is so important. One thing that often gets overlooked is the long-term maintenance
Oh, okay.
involved with different tooth replacements.
What do you mean by maintenance? Isn't it just brushing like you would with regular teeth?
Not always take dental implants, for example. They're considered very low maintenance once they're in place. You care for them much like you would your natural teeth.
Okay.
But dentures require more specialized care.
Okay.
They need to be cleaned regularly, often soaked overnight. Eventually, they'll need to be replaced.
So even though dentures might have a lower upfront cost,
Hmm.
there are those ongoing costs and effort to factor in.
Exactly. And it's not just the financial cost. It's also about the time and effort involved in caring for your tooth replacement.
Right.
If you're someone who prefers a low-maintenance approach, implants might be a better fit, even with that higher initial price tag.
That's a really good point. It's easy to focus on that initial hurdle of the procedure and the cost, but it's those day-to-day details that really impact her life in the long run.
Absolutely. And those are the details that can make all the difference in how satisfied you are with your choice years down the line.
Okay.
So what other things do we need to think about?
Well, the sources also touch on lifestyle. How does that play into choosing a tooth replacement?
Lifestyle is a huge factor. Think about your hobbies, your work, any activities that might put extra stress on your teeth. For example, if you're a singer or play a wind instrument, you'll want to consider how different tooth replacements might affect your ability to perform.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Or if you're an avid coffee drinker or smoker, you'll want to choose material that's resistant to staining.
So it's about matching the tooth replacement to your daily habits and passions.
Exactly. And even something as simple as your eating habits can come into play. If you love crunchy foods, for instance, you might want to think twice about dentures, which can sometimes make it difficult to bite and chew those kinds of foods.
It's really about thinking holistically, isn't it?
It is.
Finding a tooth replacement that integrates seamlessly into your life, not just physically, but in terms of your lifestyle and what brings you joy.
That's the goal. And speaking of seamless integration, let's not forget about aesthetics.
Right. Obviously, everyone wants a tooth replacement that looks natural. But is there more to it than just that initial, wow, that looks great factor?
There's definitely more to consider. Think about how the color of your tooth replacement might change over time. Some materials like porcelain are more resistant to staining than others.
So if I'm a big coffee drinker or, like you said, a smoker, I might want to prioritize a material that won't discolor as easily?
Exactly. And it's not just about personal habits. Natural aging can cause your surrounding teeth to darken slightly. So it's worth thinking about how the color of your tooth replacement might blend in over time.
That's a great point. It's like thinking ahead to the future of your smile, making sure it stays looking natural as you age.
Exactly. And that's all part of making a truly informed decision that you'll be happy with for years to come.
Okay, we've covered a lot of ground here, from the technical details of each option
Hmm.
to those less obvious factors like maintenance, lifestyle, and how the appearance might change over time.
It's been a deep dive, for sure.
Yeah.
And I think the key takeaway is that knowledge is power. The more you understand about your options, the better equipped you'll be to make a decision that truly aligns with your needs and priorities.
Absolutely. And let's not forget, you're not going through this alone.
Mm.
Your dentist is your partner in this process.
100%.
They can answer your questions, address any concerns you have, and guide you towards the best solution. Don't hesitate to bring up everything we've discussed today, from your lifestyle concerns to your budget constraints.
That's such an important point. This is about your health, your smile, your confidence. Be an active participant in the decision-making process.
So let's take a moment to reflect on everything we've learned so far.
Okay.
If you had to give one piece of advice to someone facing this decision,
Ooh.
what would it be?
Don't be afraid to explore all of your options. We've covered 5 common ones today: implants, bridges, dentures, fixed dentures, and interim partial dentures. But that's really just the starting point.
Right.
There are variations within each category, and new technologies and techniques are always emerging.
So don't limit yourself to what you already know.
Exactly.
Do your research, talk to your dentist, and keep an open mind.
Exactly. You might be surprised at what you discover.
I love that it's about embracing the journey and finding the path that leads to the most confident and healthy you.
Beautifully said. And speaking of journeys, I think it's time we shift gears and delve into a side of this topic that often gets overlooked: the emotional aspect.
You're right, we focused a lot on the practicalities, but losing a tooth can be an emotional experience, too.
It can impact your self-esteem, your confidence, even your social interactions.
It's like your smile is a part of your identity.
Yeah,
And when that's affected, it can have ripple effects throughout your life.
exactly. And that deserves its own deep dive.
Yeah, it makes sense that losing a tooth could be about more than just the physical part. Like you were saying, our smiles are a big part of how we express ourselves and we connect with other people.
It's true. We often take our smiles for granted until they're affected,
Right.
and it could be a real blow to your self-esteem.
I can see that suddenly a part of you is missing,
Yeah.
and it's visible for the world to see.
Exactly. And those feelings are valid. It's important to acknowledge them, allow yourself to grieve the loss, and to seek support if you need it.
So it's not about just jumping right into finding a replacement.
Right.
There's an emotional process to navigate first.
There could be, it's like any loss. You need time to adjust. Talking about your feelings, processing those emotions, having a support system in place, all of those things can make a difference in how you cope.
So support from friends and family, maybe even from a therapist.
Both can be incredibly helpful. It's about finding what works for you, whether it's talking it out, journaling, or finding healthy ways to process those emotions.
And I imagine there's no set timeline for this.
No,
Some people might bounce back quickly while others might need more time.
exactly. There's no right or wrong way to feel. Be patient with yourself. Some days you'll feel confident and optimistic. Other days you might feel self-conscious and discouraged. It's all part of the process.
So let's say someone is struggling emotionally after losing a tooth. What are some practical steps they can take based on your research to start feeling better?
One thing that can be helpful is to focus on what you can control. You can't change the fact that you've lost a tooth, but you can take charge of the situation, research those replacement options, schedule a consultation with a dentist, and start taking action towards restoring your smile.
So it's about regaining a sense of agency, not feeling like you're just stuck with this problem.
Right. And remember, even small steps can make a difference. Maybe it's just smiling at yourself in the mirror every day, practicing talking with a friend about how you're feeling, or focusing on other aspects of your appearance that you feel good about.
It's about building your confidence back up one small step at a time.
Exactly. And remember, you're not alone in this. Millions of people experience tooth loss, and there are resources and support systems available to help you cope both physically and emotionally.
I think that's such an important message. There's no shame in seeking help or talking about these feelings. It's a part of the healing process.
Absolutely. And the more we talk about these issues openly and honestly, the less stigma there will be surrounding tooth loss and the emotional challenges that can come with it.
It's about normalizing these experiences
Right.
and realizing that it's okay to not be okay all the time.
Exactly. We've talked a lot about replacing what's been lost. But what if we shift our focus to what we can gain through this experience?
Okay?
What if we see tooth replacement not just as effects, but as an opportunity?
That's an interesting way to look at it. An opportunity for what?
An opportunity to enhance our smiles, to boost our confidence, and to embrace a new chapter in our lives. It can be a catalyst for positive change.
That's a powerful perspective. It's about turning a challenging situation into a chance for growth and transformation.
Exactly. And it's a reminder that even in the face of loss, there's always potential for something positive to emerge.
So, to our listener, we encourage you to embrace that potential, embrace the journey, the possibilities, and most importantly, embrace the power of your own smile.
Well said. On that note, we'll wrap up this deep dive. It's been a fascinating exploration of tooth replacement, from the technical details to the emotional aspects.
We hope this deep dive has given you the knowledge and confidence to make informed decisions about your oral health and well-being. Remember, you're not alone on this journey, and there are resources available to support you every step of the way.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep smiling.